Hey guys, Schweitz here with a plugin demonstration video. Today we're going to look at Plugin Alliance's Maag Magnum-K. It's those of you familiar with Maag, they make the classic airband EQ. You see it all the time. I kind of like this thing a lot. I use it a lot. The Magnum-K adds, you have the mid-range and the airband from the EQ, but you also get a really nice compressor section that kind of has two parts to it, as well as their TMT, which is their modeling of the analog channels. So if you have a bunch of these on bunch of different tracks, you can switch right down here the channels they emulate. So it's all from a different emulation from different channels of Magnum-K, so that if you have a bunch of them, there'll be slight little discrepancies between all of them that kind of give you that more analog console or analog feel. Let's get into this. I want to play it for you. Shout out to my friend Sunday Iris for letting us use their song No Future. This is a folk song. It's a piano we're going to listen to. I wouldn't normally use this on a piano. I like to use it on vocals a lot because it's got a very modern sound, but you'll hear what it does to this folk type piano part and how we kind of give it a more pop feel using a few settings in here. So let's give it a listen. And you can hear right off the bat that this is giving it a nice glossy sheen, kind of makes it stand up, be a little more in your face than it was before. This song featured strings and acoustic guitar and a live bass and a bunch of other things. But you can hear how it just kind of takes that folksy sound and modernizes it a little bit. And that's what I like about this thing, is it gives us a modern feel, but it doesn't sacrifice song quality to do that. So let's dive into this, and we'll kind of go over the controls. Starting here on the far left, we have our input attenuation knob. Pretty self-explanatory. Signal's too hot, you can attenuate it here at the input so that you're not hitting everything so hard. And the converse of that, we have over here the input gain. Same thing. Add a little bit extra gain if something's a little quiet. I'm adding a little about a dB here for this piano. And then we have a peak meter, and this is just telling us that it sees signal. Here in the Magnum comp part of this plugin is the compressor, obviously, and it starts with the comp range. This is basically how aggressive the compressor is going to be grabbing things. Lower input, you turn this up, you're giving yourself a little more hit there into the compressor, and kind of gives you a little more room to play with. Here we have the ratio knob. When you click on it, you see that? It tells us what the ratio is. I got it on 3.5 to 1. And, you can move this around and you can see it changes. Over here, we got the threshold knob. Same thing. You click on it and it's going to tell us where we're at. And then side chain, as you know, we can roll off and do frequencies that we don't want to hear, not be part of the compressor change. And it even allows you for an external option for external control. Then we have our attack and our release. And this little button right here is either feedback or feed forward. This tells you where in the amplification circuit that the compressor is going to happen. It's either going to happen at the input or the output of the amplification circuit, and it kind of changes the aggression part. Here we have it on the feed follow, so we're coming on the output of the amplification circuit, and just gives us a little more aggression on the compressor. And then this guy right here is the K comp. This is a nice little feature, and it basically hovers around 3K, which can sometimes be little harsh signals, little ear piercers there. And this allows us to just compress that little narrow band of EQ. And it's nice. It kind of will take a little ping out of this guitar, out of this piano when he goes down this scale. And then over here we have our parallel EQ2. This is the mid-range gain and mid-range frequency select. And then here the Q knob, rather than showing you a Q knob where you go narrow to wide, it actually changes the frequencies that it focuses in on. As you can see here on the wider, we got 1.4 down to 57, or a sub frequency. And then same thing here, we go to a tighter and you have a different selection of frequencies for the EQ to go up into. And then over here we have our air band, gain, knob. This little button puts it in, puts it out, whether, so you don't have to have it be part of your circuitry if you just wanted to use the compressor. Same thing on the low mid freak here. You can have it in or out, and you can see our LEDs disengage when we take it out. Same thing up here on the high band, and the high band goes 10 up to 40. This is the air band, so it can kind of help give you that nice little high end that you can't really hear, but you more feel. And it's kind of Maag's signature thing. It's what they do, and it's really nice. It's implemented nicely here. And then over here we have our makeup gain, pretty self-explanatory, and they even have the classic soft limit. You put that in there, and as you know, it's not just a wall that it hits when the limiting engages. It adds a little bit of a sound. Over here on the bottom, we have our parameter link. This box actually can handle 2 separate mono signals at the same time, and this links your parameters. So if you had different gains and different settings here in your threshold or on your EQ, once you set them for each individual, you can turn this parameter link back on and say you need a little more gain and you want it to be even. How you added the gain, they would then move together. And here's that TMT. This is the modeling technology from Plugin that we discussed earlier. Gives you random channels, and you can switch them if you have a bunch of these going, and it kind of gives you a little bit of frequency, a little bit of parameter changes between them that are heard a little bit, but more felt. It gives you that analog feel, and then you can go into a digital mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. Here, this is a very interesting thing. We have a mono maker here. We have a stereo width, the mix of this section into there, and then, of course, the high pass, and you can have it be pre or post input or output signal. This mono maker works really well. I'm going to put it in. I want you to hear how well this thing works, and you choose where you're going to make the mono at with the frequency. So obviously down here lower, you're not going to really hear it, but as we come up, you'll hear it go mono. It's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool, and it works really well. And I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's a little zipper noise on there. That's like a real classic analog thing where you have a really, it's taking a signal. It's very pure piano, and as you move it, you can actually hear the potentiometer go between the different contact points. I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. Stereo width, same thing. That's nice because you could take something that's a little too wide and narrow it a little bit. Obviously, for this piano, if you turn up the width, it's just going to go out of phase. That's what we expect to see with a piano. This is a really great box. It's one that I just discovered within the last couple of years. As you can see, it's a very useful tool. You can fine-tune your sound and really get in there and get things situated right where you want them. As always, I appreciate you checking out the videos. Please subscribe up above, comment, keep coming back. Every week we're going to have new videos. The website's close to launching. I always say that, but I swear it's close now. And we're going to have a lot of cool features on the website. Thanks for tuning in, and happy recording.